She's Got It All. Written by Jewel Quinlan. Narrated by Melissa Moran. Chapter 1. Kayla Cross pressed her face into the hollow of the plane's window, not caring whether the other passengers beside her could see or not. Far below, the island of Ibiza looked like a green gem floating in the waters of the Balearic Sea. And as the plane descended toward it, she could feel again the excited flutter in her stomach, almost taste the mixed emotions of intense joy, jittery fear, and absolute determination. Because this trip was more than just a summer away from home. It was the realization of all her hidden hopes. It was the receiving of something so big it had only been imagined with veneration, like winning the lottery. But it was more than that, because there were so many opportunities that would be unlocked as a result of her achieving her dream. She could feel that potential, even if she didn't yet know exactly what it entailed. This summer, I'll be DJing at Grace. She'd repeated the phrase in her mind the whole time she'd packed her things. Incredulity had caused her to keep turning the words over and over. And now, here she was, descending toward the club that she dreamed of playing in ever since the first time she'd heard of it. It was the club, the ultimate destination. It had been voted Best Global Club at the International Dance Music Awards 7 times. Celebrity DJs were featured there on a regular basis. And now she, Kayla Cross, would be there too. The other night, when she'd seen her phone dance across the table as it rang, and Uncle Dave's name flash over the screen, she'd never suspected anything more than a social call. He often checked up on her. Of her entire family, he was the only one who understood her passion for music and knew that on the weekends she played as a DJ in small clubs in New York. It was he who had bought her first laptop and mixer. Her parents hadn't spent money on a fancy music school for her to become a DJ. No, it was so that she could prosper as a violinist and get a job playing with an orchestra, which she had, and she did. The job paid the bills, but didn't feed her soul. Not the way composing trance, house, and techno on her laptop did.
"How are you, KK? I have good news for you."
Uncle Dave's gruff, good-natured voice had reached through the phone like a bear hug. News? What news? She'd asked. Last time they'd spoken, they chatted mostly about the club she'd played in, new music she was creating, or technology she was dying to get her hands on. Uncle Dave could be a computer geek, but he was a cool one, and she relied on his advice at times.
"Well, you know that last batch of music you put together and sent me? I loaned it to a friend of mine."
"No!" she gasped. "You didn't!" It hadn't been finished work, just a bunch of loose drafts that she'd wanted some feedback on. She'd felt betrayed and exposed at the same time. Drafts were tantamount to pieces of her soul in their rawest form. "Uncle Dave!" she'd scolded. "That was just for you to listen so you could tell me what you thought."
"Hold on now, hold on. I thought you trusted me."
"Of course, with my life. But with my music? You know how I feel about that. It's a completely different thing." It was everything.
"Can I tell you the good part yet, or what?"
he'd asked, and then chuckled in that good-natured way of his. She sighed, for the moment tabling his violation of her privacy. "Okay, fine. What's the good part?"
"My friend is a silent investor in a club in Ibiza. He really liked your work and was able to pull some strings to make sure the manager heard it. The short of it is, the manager liked it and wants to hire you to play in their club this summer. It's a 2-month gig."
She'd bolted to a standing position, dropping the headphones that were in her hand, and pressed the cell phone closer to her ear. "Get out!" he chuckled.
"I'm being completely serious."
She squealed loud enough to wake the neighbors, but she didn't care. "No way! I'm really going to Ibiza to play?"
"You are."
"What's the name of the club?" she asked, although it didn't really matter.
"Grace."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?